I'm using corded headphones.
Oh my God, you're like living in the 90s or the aughts. Why do they call them the aughts? Is the aughts the zeros or is the aughts the tens?
I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that in my life.
People talk about the 2000 aughts. That's like
what?
I don't know, Brooke.
I'm
I don't
so
know.
out of the loop. I have
Other
no
podcast
idea.
people, the smart people, know what aughts mean.
Well, hey, let's do like an intro. Let's do like so we come in hot. Like we come in, off of the boom, boom, boom. We can come in and it's, this is our final episode of season 1, Mom's Art 2.
Let's get excited.
Mom's Art 2.
Hi, Brooke.
Oh my gosh, let's do this.
Let's do this. This is our final episode of season 1. We've had so much fun. I know. And we've learned so much, especially through the editing and the audio.
Oh, yeah. I want to give everybody who's listened and been faithful, like a huge thank you for, sticking through us trying to figure out the audio.
Yeah, we're teaching ourselves as we go, and we don't have producers and we don't have, iHeartRadio or anybody, helping us, but being able to figure it out is fun.
Yeah.
Frustrating and fun, but I'm glad that we're already on our way out, and I'm excited about planning season 2.
Oh my gosh, we are so excited about season 2. So we are only going to take April off.
Yeah.
And we're going to, reconvene and strategize on making this podcast even better.
Yes, and we need your help because as wonderful as this is and as much brainstorming as we do, we want to make sure that we're reaching out and finding out what you guys want to hear and what you liked or didn't like. And don't mention the audio or like vocal fry because those are things that we're working on.
We totally get that. I mean,
that's understandable.
That's a disclaimer. Yeah.
But anything else, if you want more guests, if you want a mixture of guests, if you want to be a guest, if you want to hear more stuff about what we're going through, more process stuff, directing stuff, and we want you to stay in touch because we also want to let you know about the amazing show that we have coming up, True West. And you can follow
my gosh,
all of the behind the scenes stuff to see what we're doing in this next month.
It's going to be incredible.
It's at True West. It's at True West on Instagram.
It's True West GRT Instagram
True West
handle.
GRT.
Yep, okay. And it's got all kinds of behind the scenes interviews. Meet those peoples and get in there. And, even on our Mom's Art 2 Instagram page, we're going to be pushing out questionnaires and keeping everybody engaged because we want to know what you want to hear from us.
Yeah. I feel like because we learned so much in the first season, like we had so many good guests on, but we learned so much from feedback from the people that were listening that contacted us, which we love. So you can go to momsart2.com and leave us messages, or you can leave us messages on, I think, any of the sites.
Yeah. Instagram, you can DM us for sure.
Yeah. And feel free to send us money.
Absolutely.
We are going to be having a Patreon page going up, and we'll have sponsor links and stuff for, I know how to hook it up. I don't know how you guys get it. So we'll have all the information. But with everything going on in the first season, I feel like we learned so much. And one of the things for me that I took away was how many stories we don't know about people. Like we all have these lives that we've lived. And I always talk about how like every 5 years my life changes and like I go in like 5-year increments or whatever. And I feel like we've lived so many lives. And in just our age, we've lived so many lives. And things change so quickly that I love being able to catch up with the people that we've already learned from. Like winter is already on to the next thing. And it's amazing and thriving. And like learning from Anna about, making sure that we have our board to look at and like put that energy out into the universe. And then Ilana talking about how like don't take shit from anybody and like it doesn't matter if it's the executive of Victoria's Secret. Like if you know, and Darlene, I mean, we've learned so much from everybody that I'm excited
Even
about
from
next
the
season.
guys.
I mean, really,
I
yes, from the
actually
guys.
learned something from the guys.
It's few and far between, but if you
I
learn
mean,
one
we take
thing
it
per
where we can
episode,
get it.
yeah.
Right.
And if you take one thing away per episode, I was listening to a podcast recently where Brooke had sent me to the podcast and she was like, listen to this. And I listened to it and I was like, this woman is talking about fucking nothing. She's talking about nothing.
Right.
Like, I don't get it. She just rambles. And I think she's getting around to something. But what happened is there must have been a trigger word in there. And then as I walked away complaining about how she talked about nothing and gave me answers, I like reevaluated our podcast and came up with a totally different way of attacking the money situation and bringing in finances and advertisers and all that. And it was like, okay, so even though subliminally somehow she was getting something in my brain, and so even if for us you're just hanging out with us for the 30 minutes or whatever, we know that you would be able to walk away with something. So please leave us the comments and let us know about what you even took in from that episode, even if it's something that stuck with you, or a comment that you think differently, or you have a better solution to stuff, because we don't fucking know anything and we're just all trying to figure it out as we go
and learn from each other. And I think that was the whole point of this
Yeah.
podcast, was so that, again, we are talking to people, like-minded people, and
not
figuring out
like-minded
how
people. Yeah.
well, yeah, both, right?
Yeah.
And figuring out what their process is, how they got to where they are. Also, their stories are just intriguing, but we want to make sure we're doing all of this for ourselves and for you as
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah.
So as long as we get feedback from you guys on what you want, I mean, look, if you want us to write more goofy sketches, I'm down.
Yeah. Well, that'll
down.
happen. The good news is once your show goes up April 9th at the Group Rep Theater, which you can get your tickets
April 9th,
at
Group Rep Theater. Yes.
Yes, April 9th it opens at thegroupreptheater.com. It's
I
in
think
North
it is
Hollywood.
is it the Group Rep? I think it's just thegrouprep.com.
The Group Rep. Anyway, I'll put the link in the page.
I think, right?
I think it's maybe it is. Yeah, it's thegrouprep.com.
Get your tickets.
But because that opens on April 9th, and then I get back in the country on April 10th and 11th, we'll be able to kind of sit back and enjoy that show and whatever. And then we have our other show coming up in August. So this month of April, we actually get to take all the information that you guys send us and implement it, talk about it. If you want to be a guest on the show, if you have something to say, if you have a problem you want solved, we now will have the prep time and everything to get all of that in order. And that's going to be super fun. I'm excited about hearing from people.
I'm really excited to hear from people. I want to know what's working, what's not working.
Yeah. And tell your friends. Make sure that you guys, for every one person you tell, they tell 10. So we really would like to have a little army, a Mom's Art 2 army that we can hook arms and rule the world.
That's right.
For the 80s ladies who want the look of luxury and sophistication, but not have to sell their eggs to afford it, Alberto VO5 Extra Body Conditioner with collagen for body and bounce.
Yeah. So I want to talk about this play just a little bit, if that's okay. I mean, it's just like self-promotion, and I'm not ashamed.
And it's on our minds.
But it also has to do with a lot of our theme for this show. And, our producer and the two directing, meaning us, were mothers.
Yeah.
And it's really important that we had an all-female cast. True West by Sam Shepard is very masculine, toxic masculinity is just dripping throughout the entire show. And we felt that it was extremely important to have some female leadership in the creative process, to add some other elements that typically might not be seen in most productions of this play.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to highlight that because all three of us are moms, and we're juggling this project, not only this project, but our other outside work and being moms and the whole thing. And to be honest with you, it has been it has been a roller coaster. And now that
Yeah.
we're at the end of at least the pre-production of it before we open, my family is feeling it.
Yeah.
My family is
Yeah.
like, where is my mom?
Yeah.
Where is my wife?
That's
Why
hard.
don't I have good grades right now? Why, well,
I
they're
know.
not saying that. I guess that's a question I'm asking. Why don't you have good grades? Well, one of my kids' grades is slipping because I'm not there to check work and to help. And, my husband works sometimes 12 hours a day and he works from home, but, and so these kids are kind of left to their own devices, even though there's
And
an
that's
adult in
hard.
the
Like, how
house.
do you reconcile? I mean, I think the good thing that you and I have is the fact that the next show, because I'm directing the next show, you can take more of an at home. So, like, on nights where Charlie and the kids needed me, and it was just one of those nights where it was like, I can feel things unraveling at home. I need to not go to rehearsal because I need to make sure I'm taking care of this. And because you and I are able to work as a team, I think, and we're loving each other so much that it's like, go,
Yeah.
that's more important. I got this. So we can pick up each other's slack. But so coming into the next show, I think that'll be good because then you can just focus on that and then come in when, if obviously, if I absolutely need you, I'll be like,
I gotta
too fucking
be there.
bad.
That yeah,
Too
of
fucking bad.
course.
Bring all the
Yeah.
kids with you. Everybody could do their homework. Like, let's figure it out. But I think, with this show, it was cool to watch you work. And I know that balance is so hard, but the things you've brought to these actors too, like 2 guys who came in and have seen or read the show for 100 years, and 3 guys actually who have loved this show forever, and they came in with their own ideas, which is wonderful. But the way you're able to, like you had talked about with the Lee character, has always been this big, loud, mean, unlikable guy in every production that I've seen. Super unlikable, yelling, top of his whatever. And the fact that James has tapped into something so likable that you feel sorry for him and you want to help him. And it's also that aspect of, like, as a female, when you have a toxic relationship with a male and we feel like we're fixers.
Yeah.
What's cool about us as females sitting in the audience and watching this, we want to help him. We want to fix him. We want to change him. And it's crazy to be sitting there going, my initial instinct is to go up there and hug him.
Yeah.
When he's being like this, because you, Brooke, have added that element of that femininity, that softness, that likability that draws you in and can fuck you over. And that's what's so scary about him too, is because there is this trust being built and how lovely and how much you want to take care of him and change him and make his life worthwhile and all of these things. And yet he
switches on a
you in the
dime.
face. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with Austin. He's such a fucking pathetic loser, but then you also really want to just show him how good he is and he doesn't need to pretend. And like, there's just so many so like, as a female going to watch the other shows or watching the other versions of True West, I've been like, oh, this is hot and heavy and makes me feel icky inside. And this one makes me feel uncomfortable, like I want to jump onto my skin, but it resonates with me through all the relationships I've had through my life of people. Like I've said, I know exactly who they are. I have a name in my own history of who these guys are on stage. And I think that's something that only a female director and directing team can bring, because they don't know how to tap into that. They don't have that estrogen and compassion and empathy that we live with.
That caregiving aspect
in our blood.
And I think you're on the exact right track for that. And what's wonderful, not to give much away, but once the mother character does introduce herself into the play, the only female, the only female energy, we see why. There are a lot of answered questions after that fact.
And not through the dialogue. Through the dialogue. The dialogue doesn't give it to you, but you're directing, and the way that you have intertwined both parents, whether they're on stage or not on stage, both parents through their emotional journey, is because as soon as we meet her presence, we go, oh, that's why. And that's why he's like that, and that's why he's like that, because she comes in with a toxic femininity of either weakness or like, it's mind-blowing. And working on shows with you, I mean, we both are able to do it on our own, and we do it on our own, and we're able to put up good stuff. Sometimes shit. Sometimes we
Look,
put
we
shit
can
up,
admit it.
but we can admit it. As a director, you have to admit when you have a
Yeah.
stinker. But